I am Giovanni. I come from Italy. I'm 26 years old. Type 1 diabetic since now it's been 14 years. So I was diagnosed when I was 12, 13. I've been plant-based for the past 9 years already, but there was a lot for me to learn also in the plant-based space. I got it wrong for a long time, and that is why I eventually found out about the mastery diabetes method and started my journey already 3 years ago. Essentially, I had a lot of confusion about, how to eat my carbohydrates. What should I do with carbohydrates? Should I keep them in my diet? Should I just avoid them altogether? And for a long time, let's say the first 3, 4 years as a plant-based athlete, because that's what I am essentially. I was very high fat, very, very low carbohydrates because that was, what was trendy on YouTube and all the videos that I was and the resources that I was consuming at the time. And yeah, so I started to adopt this kind of lifestyle and diet. But I was growing frustrated, ever more frustrated because I would, for example, go to bed with a normal blood glucose, eating some carrots with tahini or some hummus, for example, and for some weird reason, I would wake up with 400, 350, and that doesn't make sense. I'm avoiding carbohydrates, so this went on for a couple of years. I couldn't make sense of it in any way. I was eating very low fruit, vegetables a lot, but a lot of fats, a lot of protein products like tofu and all these alternatives to the classical protein sources. But I could not, find a solution to my problem, and yeah. So then eventually I started to just type on YouTube how to reverse insulin resistance, and I saw Robbie Barbaro's face one day, and I just basically binge watched his YouTube channel when he was sharing all the videos, what I eat in a day, what do I not eat, and I just basically took notes and started implementing from the day after. Still with a lot of mistakes because yeah, I was transitioning to a higher carb intake, but my fat reduction was not comparable. So I was kind of living in this in between world where I was, yeah, higher carb, but still high-ish in fat. That needed some adjustment, and I also had some, struggles. As an Italian, we feast on things like bread, pizzas, and these products that are high in carbohydrate, but are also highly processed. And yeah, those were my weak points, my Achilles heel. So I was kind of binge eating on those at times because yeah, I was convinced that carb is good, so we'll just jump on it. But I hadn't a clear distinction in my mind what is a good carbohydrate, what is a bad carbohydrate. So it took me a while to figure that out, and I also needed to have some kind of accountability, from a person that is an expert in this methodology and some guidelines to untangle these last little problems that I was having with the higher carb diet and basically resolving my addiction to processed foods that we have here. And that is why yeah, I decided to join the Mastering Diabetes Challenge, 6 week challenge in my case. I did. I did a bit. Yeah, I really needed it because I already read the book, and I was trying my best to do things according to the best practices that are shared and that I also, saw on the web or YouTube from learning from the experiences of others, success stories. but I was still struggling, with these more processed foods that I could not detach myself from. And also I needed to be more a little bit more stable with my blood glucose management because I am a long distance runner. I love to run, for instance, marathons. I have one upcoming this very Sunday. Having a stable blood glucose and knowing how it's going to behave, or at least, having a good understanding of the dynamics, it's absolutely key to a successful race because otherwise, you just drop in the middle of it and you have to drop. And I didn't want that. And so I needed someone to guide me and help me correct these small behaviors that the less optimal behaviors that I was still having. That's why I needed a coach essentially. Even though I was well familiar with the mastery diabetes methods for a while already. Yeah, so first of all, I had the opportunity to be coached by Coach Amanda and also by Coach Lauren, and they were very helpful because they helped me to first of all accept the fact that there are these foods that are very tasty, and it is not necessarily a bad thing to have them every now and then. What is important is to recognize that there is a time and a place for those, and that if in my case, if I do things correctly most of the time, then if I allow myself a little bit of a treat sometime, it's okay. So I don't have to feel guilty because earlier I had this thing that I would binge eat on those things and then I will feel tremendously guilty for doing that. And they made me accept that not only there is a time and a place, but they can also be functional. For instance, when you're you have to load for a marathon, you have a very high training volume. You kind of need to fuel quickly sometimes, and in those cases, those foods are okay. So I could sort of find a middle ground. I came to a compromise with those foods. Now I only consume them tactically, and they do not impact my blood glucose as they used to do in the past. And once again, as they told me, if I do things correctly, most of the time, my timing range will just be not affected by those small moments where I have to adjust with a less ideal food. And since I ended my program already 3-4 months ago, I think I've been in range. I was just looking at my time in range data the other day, and over the past 90 days, I've been in range 90% of the time, and that is consistent also through each month. And all of this while preparing a marathon, so training hard multiple times a week, and that is great, because it means that the method works, and that even if you are like an athlete or not necessarily an athlete, but you have certain requirements also in terms of energy coming from food. The mastering diabetes method is just perfect, and I can tell by experience because also the performances are good. So while eating an average of 600 to 700 grams of carbohydrates per day. So it's not that I am, avoiding the carbs as I used to do it and kind of cheating it. I am, consuming mostly fruit and, things like oats, potatoes, lentils, these things. So these are really the core of my diet, of course, with the vegetables. But then, for example, one of my biggest problems was carb loading before a race. I don't like to have many fibers in my system, before a long like marathon. run like a marathon. What I needed to understand was how to strategize a way to carb loading, reducing the fiber, 1 or 2 days before a marathon, and not impact my blood glucose levels too much, not screw them basically. And Coach Lauren in this really helped me because she told me, yeah, in these cases you can put the athlete first and then you deal with the diabetic, and that helped me because it kind of freed me from the concern of having to do everything perfect all the time. And indeed, I can also say that carb loading it's a much smoother experience now, because even though, for example, the day before a race I cut the fiber, essentially I eat potatoes and rice. I've still eaten in the ideal way for all for the remainder of the week. That means that that single day that I am kind of eating lower fibers, because it doesn't really work for me on such an occasion, my body is kind of self-regulating, because it's 1 day out of 365 that I am doing things perfectly. So um, yeah, that is also one way the coaching really helped me to untangle, this being plant-based, being diabetic, and being an endurance athlete. I have to say that I've only seen improvements. I have never felt a drop in energy during, well, of course, during the marathon itself. Looking at my last performance, I had a negative split, so my energy even increased, my pace even increased towards the end. And during the long training season, 2 3 months leading up to the big event, I never had a drop in energy during the training, but even more importantly, during the everyday life after the training. Again, testifies to the fact that if you fuel the system correctly, then the system just works as it's supposed to do. I have stable energy, stable focus when I have to go to work. I'm energetic and happy when I have to interact with people. And so, leaving aside the training bit for a while, which is going great, by the way, all the other areas of my life was also supported. I feel supported. I feel well in my body. My body feels strong, and my mind also does. My A1C, my latest A1C was 6.1%. I will do a new blood work this week. But this one is from 2 3 months ago, so it's not that old. But yeah, 6.1%. And in any case, I've seen that my timing range was 9%. So I don't expect it to be, dramatically different. It used to be to float around 7.5, 7.6%. On some occasions, I was, around 6.9 when I was really well performing. But that was, when I really, yeah, basically when I was cutting the carbs, then, my blood glucose will come down a little bit, but I was essentially cheating it, because I was just escaping the problem. And, when you are basically avoiding carbohydrates, at least as far as my experience goes, what happens is that you are, loading on fats, and then you eat one slice of an apple and blood glucose just skyrockets, and you say, oh yeah, of course carbohydrates must be bad, and so you just avoid them, keep avoiding them. uh, Now I think I eat, I don't know how many pieces of fruit a day. It's ridiculous. And my blood glucose is stable. I just eat slowly, accompany them with greens, and walk a little bit after each meal. And those three things, coupled with the fact that I'm eating green light foods, just keeps my blood glucose stable and my insulin needs very low. also because I'm injecting a minimal amount of it. They basically halved from last year. This from this same period last year, they basically halved. I used to, I don't remember exactly. So I used to have like around 50 to 60 units of rapid insulin a day for around 3 to 400 grams of carbohydrate around that time. Now I'm eating around 700 grams of carbohydrate per day, mainly coming from fruit again and potatoes at the moment. I just love them. And I am injecting a total of around 30, 35 units of insulin per day, including Lantus. Out of those 35, 40 units, nine of those, eight or nine of those are Lantus. So basically, yeah, it's yeah, I have half my insulin requirements. Well, as I was reading the book, the Mastering Diabetes book, I knew this was possible. But until I saw that, and it happened in really like 1 week, 10 days. I was just consuming the. It was actually a little bit of a tricky period because I was going, trending low all the time. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And so my metabolism really readjusted very, very quickly. And all of a sudden, I found myself, eating, I don't know, five, six apples at once and needing like 1, 2 units of bolus. And I was like, oh, this is magic. And yeah, before I would, for one apple, I would need, I don't know, probably twice as much insulin, but just because I was consuming a whole ton of fat, and protein around it. So, and by the way, I'm not a low protein guy. I also have, my fair share of proteins, but those are coming from whole sources. So it's not like processed foods. I'm just keeping the fats low. I'm conscious about the fats. I make sure that I have what I need. So it's not like erasing them from the diet because fats are important to some extent. I eat my chia seeds or my flax seeds in my morning fruit bowl. And then I, get my other fats, from other sources that like some fruits, from bananas, for example, from chickpeas also. I just get them from different sources throughout the day, and yeah, I'm I'm running injury free, regardless of the volume that I run. My body feels strong, and again, the mood also does. So this is just to say that when you are also so what I want to say is that when you see your body working this well, this efficiently, your self-confidence also increases. You just feel more capable in general, and you feel less enslaved by this condition of diabetes. Having to fight against the ups and downs, and all the uncertainty that comes from it. So that's a great gift. For me personally, I started this journey because, one day, it was not one day, but one period specifically, I was like, okay, what is my top one priority? My top one priority is health. There is nothing else that is, on top of that. And everything depends on health, how you work, how you deal with other people, how you are with your family members, with your friends, whether you feel capable, energetic during your day. All of this essentially comes from being a healthy person. And for me, being a healthy person with type 1 diabetes means nailing the timing range all the time. And for us, we are also lucky in a way because we know that we have a target number to hit. And as long as that number is, on point, we know that things are going well. And once I realized how compromised my overall performance, as a human being, was by the fact that I could not plan more than 1 or 2 hours in my day ahead in my day because I was fearing to go low. Once I saw that my body composition was also changing on the bad side. And I was also very nervous because of this. And all of this, being nervous, not liking how my body looked, my physical performance was also impaired because, if I went out for a run, I would just have to stop halfway through because of a hypoglycemia, for instance. So diabetes really if badly managed, diabetes can really impact your life and also your mental health in a bad way. And once I realized this, I was like, okay, I need to nail this thing. I really need to nail this thing, and I will do whatever it takes. And it turns out that doing whatever it takes, it's a very tasty way, a very tasty way. So I love what I eat. I love what I eat. Absolutely love what I eat. So I don't miss all the junk food that I was, binging on earlier. My family, my friends also notice this. All the areas, again, living, training aside, all the areas of my life are enhanced by the way I conduct. I manage myself around type 1 diabetes. And I also see that every day is like a vote for, a healthier Giovanni. So my name is Giovanni, a healthier Giovanni, 50 years down the line. So that is the game that I have in mind, that's the horizon. I want to be a healthy type 1 diabetic when I am 90 years old, when I am 100 years old. That's the target. But, in order to do that, you just have to start today. You just have to start today to understand what are the factors that really make a difference. And for me, it was just, understanding nutrition and following essentially what Cyrus and Robbie have codified in the Mastering Diabetes book, letter by letter, word by word, and that has changed my life. I cannot put it in any other way. So that's what I would tell to anybody who is on the fence. Put your health first, and everything else will just improve.